In the last video, we used Fluent API for our book details. Let's do the same for the other ones. What we need to do is for book, author, publisher, and book author we will do at the very end. So first, let's work with the Fluent_book. And let me open a book, which is right here. And the required attribute we have in all of the properties, but ISBN, we have the max length. So let's go to application DB context. And right here, we'll do for the book. First is the primary key, so model builder dot entity, and we have the Fluent book. In here, we'll use the has key, and we'll define the key as b goes to b dot book_id. So with that, we have set the primary key here. Then we need the required property. So we'll go with model builder dot entity. Again, it will be Fluent book. And then we need to select which property it is. So the first one will say b goes to b dot. We have the ISBN, and in that we want is required. Along with that, we also want that to have the max length. So right here we have has max length, and the length we want is 15 characters. So we applied two data annotations on ISBN. We'll copy this and paste it 2 more times. Next will be title followed by price. We'll keep the other two as required, and this looks good. So with that, I think all of the properties that we want for the book have been applied. That's good. Let's close this. And let's close Fluent book as well. Next, let's see the Fluent author. And we need the author as well. Now with author, we have key and first name, last name as required. Let's do that first. So we'll go to our application DB context. And we have the key and required. We can copy from the book, paste it for author. Rather than Fluent book, it will be Fluent author. And the primary key will be author ID. Next property we want is the first name, which will be required. And we need the last name, which will be required as well. Then if we go back to our author, we have not mapped for full name. If we go back to the presentation, max length we have already seen after we selected the property. For not mapped, we have .ignore. So let's try that out. So we'll go here. Let me select that property first. And rather than property, it will be .ignore. What property we want to ignore? That is full name. Great, this looks good for author. Last thing that is pending is the publisher. So let me go to publisher. In here we have key and 2 required properties. So let's replicate that. We'll copy these 3 lines, paste it for publisher. This will be Fluent publisher. We have publisher ID, and the 2 required properties are name and location. Perfect, so this looks good for all of the model except the book author. So let's add everything else other than the book author in our DB set. Let me copy this, paste it 3 more times. Great, we have added all 4 of these. That being said, let's add a migration. I call this Fluent API models. And let's take a look at the migration. Inside Fluent authors, we have the primary key that's working, and nullable is false, so that's also working. Next, we have the Fluent book, in which the primary key is as expected, ISBN, we have the validation of 15, and title nullable is false. And everything in here is required. That's good. Last, we have the publishers, in which we have nullable false, and we have the primary key. So this looks good. Let's update the database. Great, so our database has been updated. Let's continue working on Fluent API in the next video.